to School Leadership Academy SCRT J&K. We are in the middle of implementing national education policy, which demands a 360-degree shift in the teaching learning process. And we as school leaders need to rethink about our complex development plan or school development plan. So today I want to give some basic insights about the complex development plan and more importantly, the pedagogical plan. So let's begin. As a school leader, we are mobilizing community for increasing the enrollments in our schools. So that's a leader has to lead. And especially when it comes to the community participation, when it comes to the professional development of teachers, leader has to look after the physical resources, the buildings, the infrastructure. He has to look after the lawns, the playground, the laboratories, the libraries. And more importantly, as an administrator, he has to cooperate with the administration who are working for the betterment of public schooling system. And these are the prime goals of we as a school leaders. A school leader has to maintain the school. School leader has to provide the learning opportunities. School leader has to provide conducive atmosphere for the teaching learning process. School leader has to look up the innovations. And especially when we are in a 21st century, we have to think about the innovations, the creativity. And we need to satisfy the needs of the society. We need to bring back the trust of the society in our schools. So for that, we have a best program across India, and it's for all the school leaders. That's called a Program on School Leadership and Management. We call it a PSLM. The best course for school leaders, which develops their core competencies. NEP focuses on competency-based approach. And this starts from the self. Leadership starts from the self. We need to develop ourselves as a self-aware leader. We need to transform the teaching learning process. There's a 360-degree shift in the teaching learning process. That shift we have to understand. We have to practice this shift. Third, for doing that, leader need to build the teams. And leader need to innovate. Leader has to build a partnership with the stakeholders. Stakeholders, I mean, with the students. I'm talking about the complex development plan, the school development plan. A child need to be at the center of the plan. Teachers, he need to collaborate with the teachers. Administrators. More importantly, this stands for educational administration, like SCRT, like Samagra, like Directorates of School Education, Kashmir and Jammu, our SED, School Education Department, and a teacher, community, as a community mobilizer, he needs to collaborate with the parents, PRIs, Panchayati Raj institutions. The most important pillar nowadays, they are the voice of the community. We need to collaborate with them. We need to collaborate with the NGO world. We need to collaborate with all other stakeholders which can make our schools better learning organizations. So what is school development plan, or what's complex development plan? It simply is an intellectual process. It's an intellectual process which is focuses on some principles of educational processes. We have to fix some priorities. Like nowadays, we focus on increasing the accessibility. Policy talks about the 5 things. Accessibility. Those who are out of school, we have to bring them to the schools. Those who have been left behind from one reason or other reason, like we call them SEDGs, We have to bring them back to the schools. We have to give them some equity and inclusion. Policy talks about the quality education. SCRT and DIETS are the apex institutes to provide quality education to all the children. And more importantly, policy talks about the accountability. We need to fix accountability while framing the complex and school development plan. The policy talks about affordability. We have a Right to Education Act, which gives free and compulsory education to all children across India. And for that, we need to focus. We need to make our schools a learning organization. अभी तक हमारी schools teaching organization कहा करते थे. But now, prime focus should be to make schools a learning organization. For that, we need to make our school development plan an effective one. School development plan, it is basically we have to look after some of the changes which have taken place after national education policy. That changes need to be incorporated. This is our routine exercise in the schools or the complexes to make a complex development plan or a school development plan. But this time, the urgent need is the plan should be in tune with the national education policy. That's why this change need to be understood. And most important aspect is we have to bring together the people, those who benefit from the change. And obviously, this is our students. Our plan should work for the students rather than it should not be input driven. It should focus on students' learning and learning outcomes. Those who bring change, obviously, it's all stakeholders. The stakeholders I talked about, and those who decide. And obviously, जब भी आप plan की बात करें, it should be the shared one. All the staff members, all the community SMC, SMDCs should be the part of plan. And more importantly, जिनके लिए हम ये plan बना रहे हैं, children need to be part of it. Even our MTS staff need to be part of the plan. So my humble request to all the school leaders is that जब भी आप plan बनाएंगे तो bring all those stakeholders together to make this plan. This plan has long-term goals, short-term goals, which need to be discussed, collaborated, deliberated again and again, which I will discuss the step by step. And for making the institutional goals, we have to, three things are there. One is, where are we now as a school, as a primary school, as a middle school, as a high school, as a higher secondary school? आज मैं कहाँ पे हूँ? Where do I want to go? मुझे कहाँ जाना है? Especially school को मुझे समझना है, it's only for learning. It's only for learning. Third, जहाँ मुझे जाना है, I need to make school a better place, a learning organization. And what do we need to do? That's our plan. Where are we now? And इसके लिए important चीज है. We need to go for an environmental scan. जिसको हम usually कहते हैं, जब भी आप as school head, you need to assess, you need to scan the environment in terms of your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats. That need to be. We have opportunities nowadays. We can integrate ICT into it. We have certain challenges. We have a number of challenges, but complexes have given solution to many. Like हमारे primary schools में laboratory facility नहीं थी. Now we have complexes, and J&K is first to start the complexes, the complex structures. So we should take it an opportunity to make the primary schools, the middle schools come to the higher secondary and do activity-based learning, do experimentation, which is most important in science subjects or biosciences. So we need to work on this. And now, where do we want to go? We need to fix the goals. The NEP has fixed the goals for us. We need not to work more on it. There should be a school specific goals, but broader goals are set by the national education policy. And we need to be smarter in terms of fixing the goals. Learning is a process, it's a lifelong process. And that's why the goal should not be open-ended. It should be a smarter. It should be something specific. इस annual pedagogical plan में किन चीज़ों को रखूंगा, किन चीज़ों पे मुझे काम करना है. Should I work on learning crisis, जो बच्चों में learning poverty है, उस पे मैं काम करूं कि should I work on innovations? Depends upon the school. Should I work on infrastructure development and infrastructure for learning? Should I work on laboratories? Should I work on ICT lab? That I need to identify. It needs a school specific. And those goals needs to be measurable. Especially हमारे डिपार्टमेंट, हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम का हेल्थ चेकअप होता है थ्रू लर्निंग आउटकम्स. अगर हमारे बच्चों में लर्निंग आउटकम्स अच्छे हैं तो डेफिनेटली we will say that our schools have improved in terms of teaching learning process. And these goals need to be realistic, especially when we have schools in the rural areas. If this technology accessibility is not there, then I have to be realistic. I have to work on the basic methods of teaching and learning rather than integrating ICT. So you need to be realistic. And more importantly, we need to appreciate, we need to reward. How do we plan to go? And what is most important is to fixing their responsibilities. क्योंकि एज अ लीडर आपके साथ एक टीम है जिसको आपने बिल्ड किया, जिसको आप लीड कर रहे हैं, आपको रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज को डिवाइड करना है एज पर द कोर कॉम्पिटेंसीज. एंड रिपीटेडली यू हैव टू सीक फीडबैक मैकेनिज्म. जो जौहरी विंडो का कंसेप्ट हमने अपनी मोस्ट ऑफ द स्कूल लीडर्स को समझाया है कि फीडबैक इज द बेस्ट वे टू इम्प्रूव एज अ लीडर, बिकॉज लीडर इज बियॉन्ड सेल्फ. वो लोगों के लिए काम करता है. And the planning process, you need to communicate the plan with all stakeholders. You need to deliberate on the plan. You need to repeatedly take feedback about the plan. And more importantly, it should be the continuous review in that plan. And we need to appreciate, especially when someone will ask, आपके plan में ये कमी है. It should be like this. We should appreciate that. Someone want to, if people from Directorate, SCRT, DITES will come to your school and tell us, show us your complex development plan, school development, you should welcome them because they are stakeholders. They are the important stakeholders in improving the teaching learning process. And we need to focus on, especially जो कुछ problems यहाँ पे highlight किए हैं हमारी schools में, especially from class 9th onwards, we have a अटेंडेंस की एक बड़ा ग्रेव कंसर्न है जिसपे हमें फोकस रखना है प्लान वाइज. इट कैन बी, इट डिफर्स फ्रॉम प्लेस टू प्लेस, बट ऑन अ मैक्रो लेवल तो वी हैव हायर सेकेंडरीज में अटेंडेंस का इशू है, टीचर परफॉर्मेंस कम है, जिसमें नैस हमें कह रहा है कि 54% टीचर्स को करिकुलर गोल्स पता ही नहीं है. तो दैट्स व्हाई वी हैव टू वर्क ऑन इट. तो नैस टेल्स मी, NAS gives me an indication that I have to work on teachers' professional development. We have to think about the curriculum delivery. The 360-degree shift क्या है? ये pedagogical practice क्यों change हो गई? पहले हम कहते थे कि classroom में पढ़ाना है within the 4 walls. Now NEP कहती है no, move away from these 4 walls. And more importantly, we have to make, as a leaders, हमारा main काम है कि teaching learning process को conducive बनाना. So focus, we should accordingly put हमारे प्लान में किन चीज़ों का फोकस रहना चाहे जो हमारा कंसर्न होंगे. It can increase, it depends upon place to place. And now step by step, first you have to identify the data, identify the concerns, then we need to prioritize क्योंकि plan is about the prioritize, and we need to fix some hypothesis. We need to set goals, keep a timeline. Is these 3 months I will work on this aspect, next 3 months I will work on this aspect. And we need to identify the strategies, especially the 21st century skill है कि flexibility. One plan does not work, fixed to second plan. Leader need to be innovative. And like criteria of evaluating or assessing the plan, जो मैंने goals set किए थे, what is the stats, what is the success criteria, इसके लिए एक template है. This is the template. Yeah, this is the template which I should work on. ये major concern हमारे स्कूल में, हमारे कॉम्प्लेक्स में मेजर कंसर्न क्या है? इट कैन बी फॉर एग्जांपल लेस एनरोलमेंट, हमारी स्कूल्स में एनरोलमेंट लेस है, इट कैन बी कंसर्न. सिमिलरली देयर कैन बी एन नंबर ऑफ कंसर्न. कहीं पे टीचर अटेंडेंस कैन बी इशू, कहीं पे स्टूडेंट्स अटेंडेंस कैन बी इशू, कहीं पे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का इशू होगा. तो सिमिलरली यू कैन हाईलाइट दोज इश्यूज बिकॉज यू हैव डन एनवायरमेंटल स्कैन. तो लेस एनरोलमेंट के, तो देन what is the target? Target is जो भी मुझे आउट ऑफ स्कूल चिल्ड्रन है उनको मुझे स्कूल में लाना है. दैट्स माई टारगेट. मेरे आई हैव ड्रॉप आउट्स, उनको मुझे स्कूल में लाना है. आई हैव अ स्कूल, आई हैव अ सराउंडिंग, मेरे नेबरहुड में बच्चे हैं लेकिन वो घर से 10 किलोमीटर दूर जाते हैं. हर दिन उनको गाड़ी में 2 से 3 घंटे ट्रांसपोर्ट में ज़ाया होते हैं. I should work on that कि ये बच्चे मेरे स्कूल में आ जाए. Why they should go to 3 kilometers, 10 kilometers away? तो क्योंकि ये एक मेजर कंसर्न है कि गाड़ियों में बच्चे को बहुत टाइम वेस्ट होता है. तो वो टाइम वहाँ प्ले बेस्ड एक्टिविटीज़ में, वो अपने नेबरहुड में वो चीज़ मुझे देखना है. सिमिलरली स्ट्रेटजीज क्या होंगे? आई हैव टू एक्ट एज अ कम्युनिटी मोबिलाइजर. आई हैव टू एक्ट एज अ कम्युनिटी मोबिलाइजर. मुझे स्टेक होल्डर मैपिंग करनी है, मुझे कनेक्टिंग डॉट्स, कौन मुझे हेल्प कर सकता है कम्युनिटी एनरोलमेंट्स को बढ़ाने के लिए. तो आई हैव टू कनेक्ट दोज डॉट्स. आई नीड टू, मेरे स्कूल से एक अच्छे टीचर निकले हैं, उसको इन्वॉल्व कर सकता हूँ. आई कैन इंक्लूड रिलीजियस लीडर्स, आई कैन ब्रिंग सम पर्सनैलिटी इन माई स्कूल सो दैट पीपल कैन कम. सिमिलरली व्हाट इज द सक्सेस क्राइटेरिया? कितने बच्चे ड्रॉप आउट से कितनों को मैंने लाया. एवेल्युएशन, किस टाइम में मुझे कौन सा काम कब करना है. पीपल इन चार्ज, यू हैव टू फिक्स द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू समवन कि यू आर द इन चार्ज ऑफ एनरोलमेंट ड्राइव. यू हैव टू कोऑर्डिनेट दीज पीपल. एंड व्हाट इज द रिसोर्सेज रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है, उसके लिए यू नीड टू फाइंड द वेज एंड मीन्स. बिकॉज लीडरशिप बेसिकली वन इज द मैनेजर, उसके पास पैसा होता है, ही वो काम करा. दूसरा था लीडर लुक्स फॉर ऑल्टरनेटिव वेज ऑफ गेटिंग फाइनेंसेस. Now, this was the school development plan, जिसका template you can find on school leadership website पे, और we have already circulated to all the districts and they will down the line they have circulated to schools, or you can directly write to us. We can share the suggestive template because plan आपको बनाना है. We can give the suggestive template. बाकी आपके concerns, there can be one type of concern which you have to work on. Now pedagogical plan, that's most important. Once the school development plan, जहाँ पे मैं infrastructure aspects देखता हूँ, स्कूल की conducive environment को create करने के लिए I need to do the environmental scan. But now pedagogical plan, this pedagogical leadership plan. So more importantly, I need to understand the how learning takes place. This is the most important thing. Pedagogical plan में क्या है? How learning takes place. That need to understand what is the philosophy behind the learning and practices that supports for understanding the learning. That's why pedagogical plan में leaders को क्या करना है? There is we call it annual pedagogical plan. इसमें 6 descriptors हैं. इस annual pedagogical plan में there are the 6 descriptors. One is engaging teachers professional development. NEP हमें कहती है कि we should work on teachers professional development. अगर हमें 360 डिग्री शिफ्ट हमें चाहिए एजुकेशन सिस्टम में, तो उसके लिए we need to prepare our teachers. तो उसमें एक स्टेप वाइज फॉर्मूला क्या है? The formula stands for step 1. Where are we now as a school? Professional development of teachers. As a school में teachers की, because teachers professional development के लिए मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? Am I looking after the गवर्नमेंट ने टीचर्स प्रोफेशनल डेवलपमेंट के लिए स्टार्ट किया है? क्या टीचर्स ट्रेनिंग जो हमारा मेन होता है SCRT और डाइट्स का, उसमें मैं क्योंकि एज कॉम्प्लेक्स डेवलपमेंट डिमांड जो हमारा गवर्नमेंट ऑर्डर नंबर 2073 है उसमें लिखा है कि कॉम्प्लेक्स हेड को टीचर ट्रेनिंग नीड्स आइडेंटिफाई करने हैं, फिर अपनी डाइट का जो एक्सपर्ट है उसके साथ कोलैबोरेट करना है. इट्स आवर गवर्नमेंट ऑर्डर. तो आई नीड टू आइडेंटिफाई वेयर आर वी. मैं अपॉर्चुनिटीज प्रोवाइड करता हूं किन के लिए? स्कूल टीचर्स के लिए फॉर देयर प्रोफेशनल डेवलपमेंट. सेकंड, नीड टू डू इन द इस साल में प्रोफेशनल डेवलपमेंट के लिए क्या करूं? आई नीड टू चॉक इट डाउन इन माय एनुअल पेडागोजिकल प्लान. हाउ विल आई अचीव दिस? जो मैं चाहता हूं, हाउ विल आई अचीव? आई हैव टू मेक ए स्ट्रेटजी प्लान. यहां पे स्ट्रेटजीज मुझे आइडेंटिफाई करने. स्ट्रेटजीज, हाउ विल आई, can I coordinate with diet SCRTs, BRCs, CRCs, or I will bring some expert, I will give some online lectures, motivational videos, I will give some NCRT की website, CIT की website, NCRT की website, SLA की website, SCRT की website पे मैं काम करूं. Who will be the responsible? Again and again I am repeatedly requesting fix the responsibilities with. And third, what's the timeline? What is the timeline? किस timeline में you can do it? And third, how will the impact look like? 6 descriptors and 5 actionables. Where are you now as a school leader? You need to understand that. You need to work on developing self. There can be long-term goals, especially today NEP talks about the KSA model. That's more importantly a competency-based model. Once we talk of competency-based model, we need to work on both knowledge, skill, attitudes, and the values. And more importantly, 21st century talks about the cultural literacy. 21st century talks about the financial literacy. 21st century talks about the, as a global citizen, it talks about the different skill sets which we need to inculcate in our children. And there can be long-term goals, there can be short-term goals, and that I need to understand. And for that, more importantly, I need to work on my strengths, I need to work on the weaknesses to make a school a better place. There can be strategies which there can be suggestive frameworks given by the experts, but more importantly, you have a problem in our respective schools, respective community, you are the best solution for that. So with this, I thank you all for being with us, being in touch, and more importantly, learning is a lifelong process. And for that, you need to conduct meetings with your SMC, SMDCs, they're the main stakeholders. Second, house meetings. You need to go regular staff meetings, and I call it a PLC, professional learning communities. Once we want to make schools a learning organization, let's begin with some professionalism by bringing learning to our staff rooms. We can discuss things with our colleagues so that there can be a peer learning, which policy focuses peer learning or peer tutoring. Once we tell that our children should learn from one another, similarly, we as a staff, we as a teachers, we as a principals, we should learn from each other. And we should always believe in feedback, because leadership के लिए feedback mechanism must have, because leader need to connect with the people. Leaders work for people. Leaders work for professional development of teachers. And now, more importantly, हमारे जो goals हैं जो NEP ने set किए हैं, NEP have set the goals for us. We need to work on that, and we need to again and again revisit our goals as per the priorities. And plan is all about the priorities. And the last slide, what I want to request you, first identify the goals which NEP has given us regarding teaching learning process, but there can be a specific goals for a particular schools. You need to highlight that. And after that, there need to be some target specifications, prioritization, कहाँ पे किस timelines कब काम करना है. Timelines need to be fixed. Some prioritize an implementation plan while framing a plan. Overall monitoring process, supervision process of a school or complex head is critical importance. Continuously review, and we need to evaluate the school development program. With this, I thank you all, and I request you all to write to us. We will share a suggested template on SLA SCRTJK @gmail.com. Or there's a module available, consolidation of school development plan on NCSL website. You can work on that. There are n number of suggested templates for we as a school leaders. Let's work together for making our schools a better learning organizations and as per the demands of 21st century.